It's unusual to see no matter where you travel in the world. In fact, when was the last time you saw a woman driver behind the wheel of a cab? It's extremely rare, even right here. There are 115,000 people driving taxis and limousines in New York City, but only, get this, 3% of them are women. Our next guest is working to increase those numbers and to ensure that more women are in the driver's seat. She's a wife, mother, and founder of SheTaxis, or SheRides, as the service is called, within New York City limits. It's the first company in the United States to offer taxi and car services for women, from women, through an iPhone application. This service emulates already existing models that are successful in a number of other countries. Here to tell us about the advantages of being both behind the wheel and in the passenger seat of SheTaxis is Stella Mateo. Stella, welcome to Full Frame.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in the show. I appreciate the opportunity.
You bet. So let me ask you the obvious question, which is why? And then the second one, why two names?
Okay. The reason why, it's a movement to empower women financially and personally. And the reason for the name is in New York City, you're only allowed to use the name taxis for the yellow cabs. Outside of the New York City area, it's SheTaxis, but in New York City, SheRides.
I see. Let me ask you about the concept. You've been around the taxi industry for a while. When did it first occur to you that, geez, there aren't any women driving these things?
After my husband is the founder and spokesperson for the New York City Federation of Taxi Drivers, and through the over 20 years, listening to all the issues pertaining to the industry, I was more focused on women issues. And then when we looked at the statistics and see that, as you mentioned, 97% of the drivers are men. In the yellow industry, less than 1%. But 60%, very interesting, 60% of the ridership are women.
So talk to me about drivers. How hard? I mean, there obviously isn't a large pool out there, as we've been talking. I mean, how do you grow that? What were some of the obstacles that you faced right off the bat?
Some of the obstacles were, some people felt that, why women and felt that we're not inclusive of men. And that's when I turned around and said, how can anyone say that? 97% of the industry is dominated by men, and 1%, less than 1%, as I mentioned, of the yellow cabs.
It's interesting. I was doing a Google search, and I'm not trying to besmirch the cab industry in any way, but I just put in woman assaulted by a cab driver in a Google search, and it was amazing how many hits came up. And here in the United States, in England, in India, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I guess even if that's a really minuscule percentage, for a woman to see that article or that story, it ends up in here for a long, long time. So what is the fear factor for women? What is the belief system getting into a car and knowing that a woman's driving for you? How does that shift for them?
Oh, the women that the feedback that we get is that they are very, very happy, because you're in a small confined space, and I'm not saying that men are dangerous in any way or that, they're at risk by riding with the men, but just you feel safer, a woman with another woman. And also, I have two daughters. I feel it's a mother instinct. I always feel that women are more protective of other women and young girls, being a mother. Also, when my girls go out at night, I feel safer. I feel better knowing that they can have the option of, requesting a woman.
So when you first came up with this idea, and your husband obviously was on board, and you started to come up with the concept, what was the initial feedback you were getting from women? Because the thing that's interesting about your operation is it's women drivers, women customers.
Yes, yes. When women get older, sometimes they can't find work. When you retire, our ambassador for SheTaxis is 65 years old. And she's so excited because she's retired, and she said, where else would I find work? It doesn't matter your size, doesn't matter your age, your ethnic background. So it's very attractive for us to be able to do this kind of work.
Tell us about your adornment here.
Pink. Yes, pink. I offer all the drivers that join SheTaxi, that join the movement, the pink pashmina. And the reason for pink is it's a girly color, it's a friendly color, it's feminine. And so we want to make a statement with it.
What are the most popular reasons for using your services that you hear from the customers?
Safety. Safety is the #1 reason.
And then what about other countries? I mean, we're talking about specifically New York, but obviously doing your research, you must have found that this is something that's springing up in other countries. What did you find?
Yes, it's India. It's one of the countries, and I believe one of the main reasons why India is because Muslim women, for religious beliefs, is another reason why this is a great idea. Muslim women cannot ride in a car with a man or drive a man. So they also have a service women for women because of those religious beliefs.
And do you think that this is something, obviously you're bringing up India, I know that it's in other countries as well. Do you think that this is something it's kind of a tidal wave, that this is just starting and that we're going to see this everywhere?
Well, I hope to bring it everywhere. I don't know about anyone else, but we're working, we're going to develop it nationwide first, and then we're going to go international. We've been contacted by different countries. I've done interviews with France, Italy, Dubai, Spain, different countries around the world contacting us, wanting for us to bring the services.
Wow. You brought up men and how, it's overwhelmingly in their favor. But I suspect, this is a litigious society that we live in, that, that there's going to be somebody who's going to complain and say that this is discrimination, that sort of thing. Are you prepared for that? Have you heard that already? Or
that was from the very beginning. It was one of the main issues. And when I was asked, that some people felt that it was discrimination against discrimination. I said, of course it's discrimination. 97% of an industry dominated by men and less than 1% in another. That is discrimination, absolutely.
What about feedback? What have you heard so far from passengers and the drivers who work for you?
We have feedback from women, especially coming from flying internationally into airports. One of our drivers, our ambassador driver, said one of the women said to her, look, sometimes we're running for meetings in traveling, and we run back, we schedule behind schedule, we're traveling, but we're able to change in the back of the car because it's a woman, so they feel comfortable. The comfort level, it's totally different than when they ride with a man. That's another compliment that we get, how comfortable they feel besides safe.
Well, we were comfortable talking to you. Thanks so much for coming in. Best of luck with your new venture. It sounds like it's doing very, very well.
Thank you. Thank you for the support.
Stella, thanks so much.